The three myths that are keeping you tired, wired, and wasting time. A lot of what's happening for us is around human biology. We haven't gone to a big fancy school to learn about it. I certainly didn't learn enough about this in school, and I only learned it when I started to train. So, what are the three myths that are keeping you tired, wired, and wasting time? Now, I help you to get through the stress of business so that you can have a calmer and more productive day and do that in a more soulful and sustainable way. Today, you're going to walk away with why your current productivity or time management tool and also any AI strategies are failing, even when you use great tools. The second thing I want to do is to tell you what's actually driving that tired, wired, wasting time loop and the longer term impact of having them. And finally, why a calmer, more focused working day is possible. And it shouldn't really cost you your health, your wealth, or your relationships. If you know something about me, and I'll tell you a little bit more in a moment, my job is to help you to feel seen and heard, help you to feel understood. Most of all, help you to feel safe and then also to feel supported. So what are your struggles right now? Please let me know, what are your struggles? I've got 5 ideas here, and if you can put them in the chat, whether it's number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, it may be all of them. So the first one, you use productivity tools, but you don't get as much done as you planned. If that's you, put a number 1 in the box. Number 2, you use time management tools to stay focused. You get really frustrated watching the day fall apart really, really quickly. Number 3, you have a very small to-do list and you have very sensible daily goals, but you end up overthinking and being a perfectionist. I'm guilty of that. Number 4, you have a solid end of day routine, but you go home and you can't switch off. Or there are just times in the day when you'd like to be quiet and still and you cannot switch off. And number 5, you need a system that helps you to manage your day with confidence. No more exhaustion, no more self-shaming and blaming, and no more misusing some of these really great tools that are out there for productivity and time management, but you're misusing them. And I would say if you're doing number 1 or 2, you're probably in very good company. A lot of people on this call may be doing exactly the same thing too. So if any of these are happening to you, it's not your fault. And I'm going to tell you why. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's going on for you? It would be nice for you to just think about that. And perhaps if I go back and show you those so you can think about them, you can drop something in the box. Number 4, I can see. Number 3 from others. Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. So think about that. Where are you on your journey? And as I said, if any of these are happening to you, it's really not your fault. I'm going to tell you why. Now, there are 3 myths that are keeping you tired, wired, and wasting time. And for me, what I've seen is there's the productivity hustle. That's one story that's on the go. There's the time management fantasy. So something we've been sold that we are meant to be really, really good at managing time. And the AI fairy tale. A fairy tale. Is it true? AI is going to save our life. It's going to do everything that we need, and we're going to be amazing human beings and have such amazing businesses. So that's another thing that's feeding this whole machinery that's keeping us tired, wired, and wasting time. Now, my name's Joy Langley. I'm a qualified psychotherapist. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and I also specialize in stress management. These are the things that I do really, really well. My expertise is 15 years of helping high achievers, that's women, quite a lot of women, also men, to navigate stress, anxiety, and burnout patterns. I also have my own lived experience of being tired, wired, and wasting time. I had depression in my 20s and 30s. It's come back around in my 40s, but I retrained as a therapist and things have been a lot smoother since then because I've learned a couple of things about the human body, which I didn't know before. I found things that have worked and not just things that sound nice on paper or when you read them on a meme or somebody's post. I have my own lived experience, and I'm sure you do too. So my mission is really to help you to have a soulful business, one that makes you feel good from the inside out and sustainable, not just for today, but for a long time. And it can be a place that you spend time during the day that you actually enjoy being there. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Now, what's really happening? You're under pressure. You have lots of responsibilities and everything feels urgent. Now, when I get into that space, these things are definitely happening for me. I want you to look at these other 4 things. You don't know how to spot your patterns quickly. That's number 1. You get into loops and cycles and you get stuck. And the things that drive the tired, wired, wasting time business patterns happens to be around what you're thinking. There's a connection between what you think, what you feel, and what you end up doing. You might not have broken it down or seen it as clearly as that. Now, number 2, you're not recognizing the power of your biology. The body's chemistry is absolutely amazing. A lot of things happen subconsciously without any thought from you, but it leads to either you being able to control what's happening to it, regulate it, or it's dysregulated. It's out of whack. It's out of control. And this is to do with your nervous system, the thing that really tells us whether we're safe or whether there's danger. So if we're not safe, we will begin to trigger the stress response. And if the stress response enters the room for too long, it has its own knock-on effects. It can create anxiety and it can create depression too. And ultimately, burnout. Now, number 3, what's really happening is that you're unaware that you even have energy or how to use it. And I call it your capacity. How much can you hold? And if you were a cup, how much can you hold before the water starts spilling over the edges? So you need to know what's available and why. We mismanage the energy, and you might be mismanaging your energy, and that's keeping you tired, wired, and wasting time. You're getting stuck in a loop. And number 4, you don't cut yourself any slack. Now, I mean, be kind to yourself. I need you to break the cycles of fear and shame and blame, because we get stuck in those loops and they're not good because they then trigger even more the stress response. Self-criticism, frustration, and not being kind to yourself. These are things that I discovered for myself a good year ago, happening to me in one of my burnout phases. And it was the worst burnout that I'd been through. So I really gave it a lot of thought. And being kind to myself was a major, major part of this puzzle. So these 4 things, they may well be happening to you. So what does feeling tired look like? And it's more than just having a late night. I mean, I have a late night every now and then, but if I have too many in a row, it kind of wipes me out energetically. It really does. So feeling tired could be about exhaustion and low energy. It could also be about low motivation, the aches and pains that can happen in your body, that feeling of heaviness. It's a real thing. You might think that rest is a reward or something that you have to earn. And I would like to find out from you guys, is any of that happening to you? The low motivation or unusual illnesses or aches and pains, that heavy feeling in your body? I shall move on. What does feeling wired look like? Nervousness, jitteriness, energies all over the place, anxious thoughts. You can't settle or think straight. You get locked into those worry loops that I talk to people about. Poor focus. You get easily distracted. You may have some physical symptoms too, like butterflies in your stomach. It can be that you're feeling a bit clammy, a bit sweaty. And if you get really nervous, and for me, delivering these presentations, you can actually get quite a dry mouth. So you need to drink a bit more water. Your throat goes dry. Little things like that happen. And that's your body doing what it's meant to do, which is respond to stress. And what does wasting your time look like? Now, a couple of things it might look like: avoiding the important tasks and you are procrastinating, putting things off, finding better things to do. You might start over researching, tweaking things that you've already created, getting into that perfectionistic place. And you might start doing some habit changes like eating more, comfort eating. I know that I go for chocolate. Chocolate is my thing, it really is. Other people might go for alcohol, might have more cigarettes, might have more naps, might even do more exercise, strangely enough, as a way of just breaking their own cycle. And the last thing you could be doing is productive procrastination. If that really exists, you might find yourself doing things that you don't really need to do. Is anybody guilty of, if they're at home and they work from home like I do, but suddenly you want to clean the oven or you want to reorganize your cupboard? If you're in front of your desk, you suddenly decide you want to do some filing. Filing, I hate filing. So I talk about productive procrastination. So hold your hands up to that, guys. Maybe happening to you, it may not. So the problem is not necessarily that you're doing things wrong. You are a very motivated and focused person. I know you might call yourself lazy in the moment, but you're definitely not a lazy person. What's happening to you as a business owner or a professional is that you're under constant pressure. It's there. It's almost like an invisible overcoat that you wear, quite heavy as well. You may have high responsibilities within your own company, or if you work by yourself, you're just doing everything by yourself. I'm a solopreneur and everything feels urgent, which is not possible. But when the mind starts to race, everything feels urgent. And some of those things I've just described, they are an absolute recipe for triggering stress. It's a disaster zone. Under pressure, you're going to fall into cycles of feeling tired, wired, and wasting time. You're going to get into emotional negative loops. Your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, they're just going to start playing together in a very negative way. Like I mentioned, thoughts of I am lazy comes up, or I'm not good enough, or I'm doing something wrong. The comparison creeps in. You get really self-critical, and then you start feeling guilty or ashamed of yourself. You might not recognize it as that. It feels like frustration sometimes for me, like a volcano about to bubble up. But really, I'm frustrated at not being able to do a task. And it can come across as being angry at myself or just plain jittery. Sadness as well in there, trying to fix things by just working harder, pushing harder, all this hustle culture, powering through. Now, you may have heard of David Goggins, the U.S. Navy SEAL, and he says that you're only 40% done when you feel like giving up. And I think, whoa, these are the kinds of talk that I really hate hearing because they make me feel bad about me. I feel really lazy, but only 40% done. But I want you to take some of this advice with a pinch of salt. Think about the damage that it can be creating for you because you're pushing beyond the point of no return. You're not lazy. The body is very clever at holding back a large reserve of energy so that it can do all the things it needs to breathe by itself, digest, help your blood circulate, help your brain think. It does a lot of things without you even knowing. So this 60% left in the tank, very bad thinking, unless you have an emergency. If there's an emergency, you will dip into that anyway. If you're trying to save someone's life, save yourself, you name it, you will go into that space, but you don't do it as a matter of course. It's very, very dangerous. So the constant pressure, there's a diagram here. The constant pressure leads to urgency, firefighting. That will go to tired, wired, and wasting time very quickly. The self-criticism and the shame, not clever. Really not clever, guys. And there'll be time leaks from switching tasks, from multitasking, doing all kinds of strange things with time, perhaps pretending as well that you've really got your diary color coded and you're following things. There's an over-organization that happens too. And really and truly, there's low capacity within you. If you were a cup, what size is the cup? How much can you physically hold in that moment, despite you wanting to pour more and more and more in? So there's a place where you become more resilient too. I would call it making the cup a little bit bigger. But don't be tough on yourself, guys. Like I said, I didn't know all of this until I did all my psychotherapy training and learned a lot more about the body. But your prehistoric system is kicking in, your survival instincts are kicking in, and it's kicking in because of work, not because you're being chased by a tiger, which is what your body thinks is happening. So I don't know if any of you feel that happens to you. So there are things happening here for you which you probably didn't realize were happening, and you're being tough on yourself, which is even worse. So I want you to cut that. We need you to get back to a state where you're being calm and kind. To break that tired, wired, and time-wasting pattern, understand that there's a capacity problem. There's nothing wrong with you guys. It's not a character defect or a flaw. You're not a failure, okay? It's human. You're not a machine, okay? And what's really happening is, how could you possibly do more when you're already exhausted, when you already have a depleted system, when there are negative cycles going on? How could you possibly do more? So you trying to pile more on a plate that's already full doesn't make any sense, okay? Second thing is that energy fluctuates. It fluctuates throughout the day. It fluctuates depending on who you're around, the places you are, the tasks that you are doing. We have an energy system, which I think is a bit like a wave, but it fluctuates, and that's okay. That's okay, but recognize that's happening. It's not you. You do not have a character flaw or a defect, and you are not a failure. The fact you're watching this means that you're one of the hardest working people out there. You really do care about this. So thank you for showing yourself that you care. And when your brain and your body doesn't feel safe, when it feels wired, like I said, you're just imagining that you're ready to fight a tiger. The body really feels that. It's a prehistoric system. We need it. We can't change our biology in that respect. So understand what's going on. That's going to be something that's going to save you in terms of the way in which you run your business in a calmer, more productive way. And wired people, when we're wired and we've got that nervous energy surging through us, we can't think straight. We talk about brain fog, but it's a real thing. And we'll make very bad decisions, and we'll start over-checking. We'll do lots of things. We can solve it by doing 3 things in particular. Look at psychological safety. Teach your system to step down from that high alert state. You need to build that capacity for clear thinking, where you can untangle all the pressure patterns that have been built up, some of the stories that you tell yourself, some of the attitudes that you have and the beliefs. All of these things, they need to be unraveled so you can have some clear thinking in that moment. And then finally, you need a simple operating system that you can fall back on, where you can then use all these productivity tools, use these time management tools and AI in a way that matches your energy at that moment in time. So you can do the jobs that you're meant to do. And I call it doing the right things in the right place, as opposed to the wrong things in the wrong place. Very simple thinking there, but I know it works. I have tried it out on myself, and I would never give you anything that I hadn't done myself. So I would, if we were to work together, and I'll tell you a little bit about how we can work together in a moment, I would take you on a journey that looks a bit like this. We'd have to build up this whole new ecosystem for you, where you start breaking patterns, looking at the cycles you fall into, the loops that you keep on going around. And I use a couple of my own personal systems, one called the Y.E.S energy system, your energy signature system. And it's the ecosystem. Everything else falls under that. Energy matters. You have to become aware of it and be more conscious of it. Then you're able to look at the system, other things in there that you can do. There's the T thinking system. I use TEA to represent thinking, emotions, and actions. The things that you need to look at that are feeding some of the problems that are happening. Another system which I like to look at is called TABS. And the TABS stands for thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, and stories. All the things we say to ourselves which are not helpful. And while we are criticizing ourselves, I know it's not a useful thing to do. So there has to be something within your system that helps you to break that harshness. And I call it being really cruel to yourself, being the worst boss in the world to yourself, being a bully to yourself. You need to know that breaking that is important, because you'll be forcing yourself to go into the stress response. You'll be forcing yourself to be vigilant, to be worried, to be scared, to be frightened, unless you find some way of calming your system down and giving it the psychological safety that it needs. So that's what I would encourage you to do. And that's the journey that I would take you on. And building that strategic self-compassion and emotional regulation. You need that so that this whole process sticks and hangs nicely together. And you can get back, as I said, to working productively, using your time management tools in the way that you want to, and using AI, especially AI. I love AI, but it just gives you more work to do. As I said, what's my capacity? And AI is churning out stuff faster than I can keep up with it. It's another recipe for disaster. I'm just going to double check that that's all on the go in the chat boxes. So yes, people are saying they are quite harsh on themselves and they can always do better. And yes, there's a lot of shared behavior that's happening here, guys. We're not the only ones doing it, are we? I am guilty of doing some of this, believe me. But what I know is that these systems, I use them on myself and they pull me out of that ditch quickly so I can then continue with my tasks in my business day. Now, I'm getting towards the end of this. I just want to say you have permission to rest. Rest is not an optional thing. It's operational. You need it to be something that functions within your business. And there's a doctor called Sandra Dalton Smith says there are 7 types of rest. Now, you might not even have thought about rest in that way. It's not just the fact you go to sleep. That's not the only way you get rest. She says there's physical rest, mental, emotional, social, sensory, creative, and spiritual. So, have a look into that by all means and look at what triggers you, what makes you energetic, what de energizes you, and do those things on purpose, deliberately. Energizers can be going for a walk. It could be making sure you're eating properly or having enough water, hydrating. It could be taking a meditation break of a minute where you say something good to yourself. Simple things, but you have to work out what yours are. There are also de-energizers, checking your inbox too often, looking at your mobile phone too often, possibly looking at your mobile phone first thing in the morning. What a disaster. That's going to set you off on a really bad trajectory for the day. You can do it some other time. The constant distractions, pings, notifications, taking back-to-back calls, trying to be a perfectionist when you're doing your work, doom scrolling, and there's so much more that you could be doing. That's a de-energizer. So know what your energizers are and know what your de-energizers are. And you have my permission as well to use the energy traffic light system, which I think is fabulous, simple, but very, very memorable. Green, it's your natural energy that you have when you wake up in the morning. You're bubbling with it. And I would say try and get your best work done during that time. Then there's the amber energy. That's when you move from the green, it's all run out. You move into the next phase, which is the amber energy, and there's stress energy involved there. There's cortisol and adrenaline. You're coping, but recognize that you are draining your body, and it is the place where your body is holding this adrenaline and cortisol. Next, if you run out of that, because you can get through the middle phase of the amber with willpower, with determination, with grit. So sometimes I have to rely on that too, but you can't stay there forever. And the last one you might fall into totally by mistake is the red zone. It's the danger zone. It's red for a reason. I say this is where your life force is trying to preserve itself. So you shouldn't be using it for too long. But if you've ever been burnt out, you've probably been in this place. But recognizing that that's what's happening to you. There are lots of physical signs happening. The tiredness, the lack of concentration, the demotivation, lots of things going on there. And that's your body's way of saying, hey, Let's get re-energized, guys. We need to get our energy back in some way. So remember that you have to go back into that. Now, my invitation to you is to join me for 6 weeks. I have a live program that is a one-to-one coaching program or a group program. There's 2 ways which you can go. But my real passion is to help you to stop feeling tired, wired, and wasting time. The group program is for a small number of people. It can be up to 10. That's the maximum I'm going to go to. And you will stabilize your mood and energy. You'll learn how to do all this. You'll break that tired, wired loop. You're going to identify your own personal patterns, build some practical and calm systems. And the one-to-one coaching, again, you'll do that personalized, deep work with me, and it gets you there faster. It's tailored to you. Obviously, it's more confidential, and we'll use therapeutic and coaching tools that perhaps I can't use in the group program. Then there's higher level accountability, which we all need in this world, accountability and support. And my invitation is to join the Energy Mastery group. And the first week, nourishing your nervous system. The second week, building a business safety net for you. Week 3, we're going to be encouraging you to connect and not collapse. I want you to break the isolation of being in business. Week number 4, we're going to look at self-worth, so that you're not attaching your self-worth, who you are as a human being, to what you produce. And that's what's going on as well. We're attaching who we are to what we do. And that's not clever. It just kills confidence. There'll be a week where we're looking at a joy strategy, rebuilding your business based on some calm, ease, and being in your zone of genius. And the last week will be integration and emotional power. You have your own plan. This is a good thing to do because we're all different. So we're all going to have a completely different plan. And my offer for February, the one-to-one coaching is $700 US, 520 UK pounds. And the group program is $530 US and 400 UK pounds. And these are special prices for me. They've been discounted because I really want you to start the year in the right place. As the year goes on and I run more of these, the price will obviously go up. And if you're in the group program, the first 3 people that join will get an opportunity to talk to me one-to-one, and we can get that ball rolling on what's happening for you, have a bit of a head start. There's a QR code on the side. You can book a call. It's my booking link. And I keep the group small and personal because you deserve to be supported properly. So the invitation again is for 6 weeks. Number 1, nourish your nervous center. 2, build the business safety net. 3, learn how to connect. Number 4, just get your self-worth in place and your confidence up. Number 5, you're going to have a joy strategy. Sounds good to me. Number 6 is integration of everything that we've learned so that you can have your own personal map. There'll be some PDFs that I will be adding in there as well. There might be in between support for certain people, depending on what time you join me, basically, in terms of this cohort. And I think that's it, really. Please take me up on this offer if it feels like something that you need. It's up there on the screen again. The QR code is there. Please take that. If you don't get those details down, contact me at joylangley.com. My website is joylangley.com, or come back to me on LinkedIn if that's where you know me from and ask me questions. Please feel free to do that. So are you ready for a calmer, more focused business? I hope you are. Book that energy signature call and find out more if you want to stop feeling tired, wired, and wasting time. It's not for everyone, of course. You will know if this is right for you. But if you're successful on paper, but you're privately feeling drained, if your brain won't switch off, even though you shut your laptop at the end of the day, if you want to use the tools, including AI, to support you better, not to run you, you want to be in charge of it. And if you're done with feeling tired, wired, and wasting time, ready for a new system that's more soul-led, more in line with my energy, and more sustainable, if that's something that feels exciting and interesting and what you want to do, contact me. Take the QR code. It will take you straight through to this booking link. If you can't get through on that, contact me by all means on LinkedIn, or go to joylangley.com or just email me, joy@joylangley.com. Saskia is asking a question. If you do the one-to-one, do you get access to the groups? That's a very good question. The answer is yes. If that's what you want to do, see me possibly twice a week, why not? It sounds like a good idea. Thank you for saying that it's a good price as well. I've got some comments that I can see in here. How do I stop the terrible habit of my household? They're all on their phones. They're scrolling at all times of the day. Well, phones are not something we can put back in the box. I call it Pandora's box, really. Once something's out there, it's out there. We are, dare I say, use the word addicted to social media. We're addicted to our phone. And if I were to be really cruel, imagine being addicted to some drug. We're addicted in that way. The body is registering it as pleasure, the dopamine hit that's happening in our body. I mentioned the chemistry that's happening in our body. That's what's going on. So it's almost like breaking away from something that is so yummy and scrummy. But once you know the damage that it's causing, AI and scrolling and all of this is affecting their ability to learn. It's rewiring your brain. So neuroscience is a real thing. Our brains change. They are plastic in that we can change the things that we think. We can break some ideas, but it's wiring you. The more you do something like building a muscle, it gets stronger. So yeah, it's a big problem. How do you do it? If you contact me in my DMs on LinkedIn, I can tell you some more. So I do hope today's been an interesting place for you all to be. The QR code is still up there on the screen for you all to see. It's just been amazing being with you here today. I've gone over time as usual, but every time I talk about this subject, it just gets deeper and deeper and richer and richer. And I'm using these things on myself. So if it's something that you're interested in, get in touch. If you're not in contact with me on LinkedIn, send a request. Then we can talk and get to know each other a lot better. Enjoy your day, and we'll catch up very, very soon.